Folks, welcome back to the Console League. This time I'm here, not Finch, but Taco's still here.
I am still here. I'm definitely excited for some more console gamer action too, but this time over in North America.
Yeah, this is actually going to be really fresh. We've got ArmadaGG, no longer Fable. Shouts to a new name. That's actually really fun. And they're going to be taking on Astral. But big news, we got Bobby. We got Inbowned back on Astral Authority. So a lot of shuffle and a lot of shakers and movers, but things seem to land right now.
Oh, it's definitely spicy, not even just for the roster changes that have occurred, but also a little bit of the grudges that have developed because of them. This was definitely not a pickup that happened of everybody's own free will, and I think that the introduction of Inbound back over to the Astral squad is a really interesting one, but it has certainly left a mark in the console scene.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of sort of bumps and bruises along the way. But I think that this Astral team is really lined up to be something special. I think this is, like I said, everything sort of landed. It's a return to kind of where we were at before. Let's see where these players work out. Picks and bans, game number 1.
And as you can imagine, with these teams still being so familiar with each other, I think this is where you start to see some of that experience really build up in the scene, because Inbound, we all know that he can perform. We all know that he's a support that really gets the big picture, and I think because of that, Astral have a pretty big advantage here. Now they can look to prioritize their Guardian pick, or I should say hold that priority towards a Guardian pick until the 4th and 5th, whereas before, I think that Astral felt a little bit more pressure to try and pick up their Guardian earlier on, just to make sure that their original support felt comfortable.
Right, yeah, now just a little bit more experience there in that role. 4 bans coming out, 2 junglers from AR, going to say no to Daji and no to Raven. And then, of course, no Chunga. That's a very console-friendly ban, although North America feels the same way in the Pro League. And the Athena ban, everybody's okay with. First pick, Odin. So
every time. Okay, I shouldn't say every time. I think there's like one time that I can recall where Wolves actively didn't choose to go for the Odin, but I think 99% of the time on any given day, Astral will take the Odin if it is left open, and Armada, they have to be aware of it by now. Everybody knows what Wolves is capable of on the Odin. He makes something out of nothing almost every single match, and Armada even picking into it with the Sylvanas. That's a bold statement.
It's also really interesting. I mean, Odin also sets the tone for picks and bans. You can't pick a hell into this, right? Like, it's not... A lot of times teams will use Odin as the, you picked a healer, now this is how we foil you. Astral's not looking for the counter pick. They're just saying, we're picking this and you can't go a hard healer. Sylvanas, like you mentioned, an interesting pick into the ring, but it's not going hell. It's not going Aphrodite.
It's not even just that. Chernobog finally going to make his very first game debut here for some competitive Smite. Even if it is in the console side of things, you can kind of expect it to have the same sort of impact. Chernobog, that ultimate has been the talk of the town here for some time. Even prior to being brought over into competitive, I think we've seen a lot of shuffling all over social media sites and things like that, because he just really controls the pacing of a match.
He does. The global teleport is one thing, but the global slow is another thing. That's really what you've got to take a look at. So certainly a lot of potency there in the Hunter role. No Shibalanke, says Astral, and they're going to wait on their second ban. But the Hebo and the Agni, Water and Fire, could be banned out by AR. I like this move. I think they cover both the jungler and a mid laner here. Final ban going to be the Artemis for Astral.
Speaking of which, and that's the big thing also, I think that Astral definitely made the right choices, just targeting Hunters out for their 3rd and 4th bans, and probably 2 of the best Hunters to try and box with that Chernobog. Another big thing that he has going for him is just that attack speed steroid, combined alongside of that first ability there, being able to close out and look for a route into an attack speed stim. That is problematic, and you also don't want to get gobbled up by that passive from Chernobog, even the bonus damage.
Yeah, I mean, you get the explosions on the basic attacks. It's really, really scary. Thor going to work out here. Should be a nice move. And the Discordia going to be there as well. Nice cripple on the Discordia ultimate. Will be able to sort of shut down what Susana wants to do. And Ho Yi I'm looking at, though. I was really impressed with Cyprexa last time around.
Cyprexa, I think that this is one of his more staple gods also. If you ask a lot of these console guys, they'll probably say the same thing. He kind of made his mark on the Ho Yi. That's where he really started to give off a great first impression for being a competitive, capable hunter.
Well, let's see how these teams do. Astral Authority versus Armada. Let's go right into game number 1 and see where everybody lands. As far as everybody kind of position-wise, no surprises here. Layers and Wolves on the Thor and the Odin. It's really the only thing that I think that could be messed around with. And frankly, nobody better mess around with Wolves' Odin. I personally will get mad because I like to see him do the Odin.
I think everybody likes to see Wolves on Odin. Somehow he makes it different every time, even though you know what's going to happen. You just can't predict when it will occur. And that's the big thing for me about Wolves is that he does feel so unpredictable, despite having been one of the more prominent members in the console scene for years now. Teams still struggle to figure out when Wolves is going to actually join the fight, and almost every single time he does, it tends to go one way.
He's a difference maker. He's an impactor. He's the guy that will turn the game on its head. And he's absolutely somebody that you've got to pay attention to. And that's the wonderful thing about this Astral Authority team is that there's a number of people that you sort of have to pay attention to. Wolves and Layers. oBoronic is one of the better mid laners. And Cyprexa, the new guy, turning into somebody that could be pretty scary. So he's going to try out the new character. Fatal Ghost taking that away from Cyprexa, the Ho-Yi. Should be very interesting. So I want to see how Astral bodes with this new hunter in the long term.
And Fatal Ghost also on the Ho-Yi. I mean, we were just talking about it. Cyprexa, that was probably his go-to god for a while there. So, in a way, it's kind of a statement pick because if you can get a solo kill against a Chernobog with the god that player you know for a fact loves through and through, I mean, it kind of just hurts to see.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's that feels bad, man. That's a statement for sure. I like when players do that, though. You know, I'm going to take your character. I like to watch people play Naja against Cyno. I like to see, you know, Zeus be played against Pretty Prime. So we're going to see how this one works out in the console world. Layers already have Mollusk, not too concerned. Now flashing forward and going to find a little bit of the damage. Armada going back in the dungeon.
Just using that jet stream to pose an aggressive stance. Doesn't necessarily want to follow up on it immediately, but the Storm Kata means that he won't have that Wind Siphon available to pull Layers out of position. Also important to note that Berserker's Barrage is going to be fairly interruptible here, I think, looking at Armada's current composition. So while the Sylvanas is a bit of a bold pick, considering that Wolves has his Odin, there's still something to be said about that Wrath of Terror into the Sunbreaker from the Ho-Yi.
And especially the Wrath of Terror into the Whirlpool into the Sunbreaker, so the hammer can't even get him out of trouble. Inbound, trying to find the stun on the Honeys. Not going to be able to. Instead, just hides behind the wall. Fatal Ghost going to jump aggressively as everybody starts looking at Cyprexa. Sprint not used yet. Important to note, that's a regular old sprint. So not going to get the haste on the basic attacks should they actually look for it. And the Thor jungle posed a threat to the left-hand side, but ultimately will look for the red buff, which was going to be an invade target. Now it's purple.
I think it was meant to be purple because Armada just want to draw Astral Authority in. Inbound kind of low their own mana. Going to force a rotation out of Layers just to make sure that his dual lane's still intact. But since Layers is here, he might as well look to help out his team with the purple buff. And he's waiting because he doesn't want to reveal that he's here, just in case Armada choose to play into it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the pathing coming out from Layers here. Now waiting for the full commit. Here it is. There's the wall. Berserker's Barrage on top. Needs the hammer. We'll have it in just a moment. Or rather not. Can we look at Dora real quick and see if he's leveling anything?
Just a little bit too much damage there. And he's just got 1 point in each, so that's why you kind of don't expect to see all the damage in the world coming through just yet.
Well, we didn't see the double tap at all, and I think that might have wound up as a kill, but might have is scary when you use your escape. It's got to be a definitely for me. So
I think it's better for Astral to back off because they're in too narrow of a jungle corridor. One ricochet would just destroy everybody, and you don't want to take the life RNG chance of whether or not you're going to get bounced on.
I mean, I'm, you know, we're talking risk versus reward, and I'm always the risk taker here in this situation, but not going to be the dude this time around, and I respect that call. Fatal Ghost so far trying to deal with this, and Honey's taking some poke, actually. Cyprexa and the whole wave. Just looking at Mr. Treeman, and MitchTeep going to fall down. Layers OD. First blood for Astral Authority.
And didn't even have to use that Thor ultimate to accomplish it. So really well played there by Astral Authority's mid jungle. I think oBoronic was the initial focus, and that's why we don't see him with the golden apple. Probably bounced it onto MitchTeep's head, and now Wolves, this is where we were waiting for, though. Nobody knows where Wolves goes.
I mean, just Mollusk.
Oh, but the speed buff. Turn around.
He can't. The Poseidon's on his way, and that's all the time he's allotted to be out of lane. See, he's going to proxy farm the wave right about now. Yeah, Wolves right there. Can you even get mad for Mollusk for backing in his own jungle right there? I don't think you can.
No, that's his jungle. He's supposed to be allowed to back there, but Wolves, who's been proxying, of course, is going to decide to venture into the jungle anyway. He just looks for whatever he can get, and that's the big issue with this guy on Odin, because he's got so much early game presence, or I shouldn't say presence as much as I should say damage.
Yeah, damage and prowess. Prowess and presence, I think, are the way to go. He's certainly just a little bit thirsty at the beginning of the game and willing to thank anybody that helps him out. So, good thing for Wolves. He doesn't need help most of the time. He can certainly do it by himself.
And that's the best part about this team composition, though, because Layers knows that he won't have to be sitting there assisting Wolves all day long holding his hand. That just opens up the ganks opportunities in mid and duo. We've already seen one come to fruition. MitchTeep ended up falling to the Berserker's Barrage.
Yep.
If Layers can continue to find repeat kills like that, Mitch and Mollusk are both going to start falling steadily further behind, because if one's going down, you can't expect to protect all of your jungle.
That's one of the oldest stories in the book, I think, is Thor getting off to a lead. I really think that's when I think of the most classic quintessential jungler, Taco, I just think of Thor. And we're metas away from that. But this was the go-to guy for so long. And the reason is because if you're able to just get a tiny little bit of a lead, the oppression, that ultimate wall, hammer stun, the combo, like, that's such a crazy combo just with a little bit of a lead. So Layers, if he can set the pace of the game and just be this guy, I mean, that's pretty much all Astral needs to take the step into the wild side. Speaking
of which, Layers, no idea that he's standing right on top of a ward there, placed inside of those right mid harpies. Really nice ward placement, if you ask me, because no one really expects you to be throwing those into the center of the buff camps. Normally, it's expected at those choke points that are being highlighted right now. And because of that, Armada, without revealing they have a ward there, play it safely enough in the mid lane to deter Layers from going in.
And that's a Thor ward. And there are other characters, right? A Tasker comes to mind, and anybody that can jump over that wall. But that's not a ward you put down every single game. That ward really depends on, like I said, the characters that you're playing against. Thor always comes to mind. Thor was one of the first characters that altered the way that you would ward the game because of his ultimate. So you won't see that against everybody, but Thor is certainly one of them.
Looking for more aggression here is the problem. Inbound gonna avoid the knockup from the Wrath of Terra because of the fact he's Terra, but he can't avoid the dot damage. Wisp and everything else combined gonna be able to catch him. Crystallized Curses, though, into the Vicious Barrage. That's gonna be the route that you're waiting for, as well as the explosion damage.
Yeah, really, really hot move there. Uses the slow from the ultimate and then just Vicious Barrages him to death. Blades of Death, looking for Mollusk, misses one, misses the other, and now you gotta go home, buddy. Sorry, you lose.
And it all starts off with that Living Nightmare. As soon as he goes up into the air and lands right back down, slow's been applied to Zirxy long enough for that immobile Sylvanas to pretty much get trapped in place.
Yeah, and the hot root coming out as well. That was really, really clean. Needed that root in order to catch up with the player, and because of just the use of the whole kit, honestly. I was laughing. You saw that. We showed it on Esports Weekly, the Zapman clip, where he does everything that Chernobog does. I mean, here we didn't see the dash into the wall to avoid a move, but we saw the ultimate be used to slow. We saw the root. So thanks, Cyprexa. Putting on a show.
Might see that later on, however. I mean, that Into Darkness is pretty useful, if you ask me, especially against a combination or of a... Exactly. It's the Kraken, it's the Sunbreaker. There's a lot of instantaneous burst damage that Cyprexa could potentially avoid.
Yeah.
And that probably poses enough of a threat where Armada are more than likely going to be looking to target out this Chernobog before they really break into a team fight.
Yeah, avoiding the Kraken will be difficult because it is a dash first and foremost. So it will get crippled out by the Whirlpool if he's not paying attention. Nobody saw that, Wolves. We're good. So he's definitely got to make sure that he doesn't waste his opportunity. Yeah, Wolves just didn't need the lunge. He was just jumping for fun. Level
Getting back
11.
to lane faster.
Yeah, there it is. Jumping in place will do that, right? Yeah.
Reason for everything, I like to say, is Inbound. Now going to end up losing those oracles. Not just yet.
Oh, big play. Inbound off of the crowd control gets one. There's another for Astral Authority. Layers on the good side of Teep. And Inbound chasing down the Mollusk. He's able to dash away for now, but guess who's lurking in the jungle? Blink forward. Wolves does not have a blink of his own, but he's going to keep running. And Mollusk, is he safe is the question?
He's safe.
See? Fool me once, right?
But he always goes all the way back.
All the way back. Look, he ran to his fountain. He did not back whatsoever. He ran all the way to his fountain. Because the last time he tried to back in his own jungle, he got jumped on.
Respect. But it's still not enough time for Astral Authority to look for a Gold Fury. Only 10 minutes into the match, that Gold Fury still does more than enough damage to prevent a clean pickup of it. And Wolves not being there, I think, also made sure that Astral couldn't take that one up.
So Cyprexa is showing us the wave clear on this Chernobog. Level 10, he's just blowing up the wave completely by itself. Talk to me a little bit about this Hunter and where he fits in. Does he have early game clear, or are we just seeing him at level 10 now?
He probably has one of the better early game clears, if anything, because that Crystallized Curses, it applies twice. I mean, it works very similar to Nox, is what a lot of people tend to say, and I mean, that's just a given. But the initial damage is the main reason why we see him leveling this ability up first, and then after that is where you're going to start looking into leveling up that second ability there for the Chernobog. You want to make sure your Visage Barrage gives you as much of the attack speed stim as possible. 70%, getting real close to matching that of Artemis's, and even more still, Cyprexa can combine his first and second ability in order to root someone immediately and apply that burst damage from the Crystallized Curses upon the popping that normally you'd have to wait for.
That's how we saw the Sylvanas die. The root was immediately popped with the straight shot. Deceptive thing, straight shot just does one basic attack damage. It pierces, but it just does one basic attack damage. It's not like a regular line attack, so you can get yourself faked out there. Here comes Layers right on top of the Sylvanas. But the Whirlpool going to cut things short. Ziggy getting in trouble here. Unstable. Not going to be good enough. The ultimate barely lets Teep get out of there as well. Oboronic still here. Going to walk into it, but Oboronic over the wall. Takes care of Teep and doesn't die to the water. Nice play there from Astral Authority's mid laner. Oboronic has been so impressive.
I'm just not sure what Teep was going to find there to begin with. At most, he Whirlpools for slow for a couple of seconds, and
yeah.
Even then, just not really worth risking his life over. Wolves could not get there. Or, excuse me, not Wolves, but Ryan Jarman couldn't get there in time to assist his team. Now, he's got to try and depend on this Cerberus as the ultimate deterrence factor for Astral on this Gold Fury, but they don't seem too swayed right now.
No, a little bit of attention being paid now. Odin jumping in. Astral do confirm the Gold Fury, although it was close. Jarman tried to come on in, but his hands were left empty. Astral Authority take the first Gold Fury of the game, find themselves up 3,000 gold.
And the experience differences, too, are starting to get further and further apart. Almost 5,000 now in favor of Astral Authority, so these few engagements have been very promising for Astral because they're not just finding the picks, they're also finding the stuff after the stuff. And
yeah.
It's the buff invades, it's the Gold Furies, it's just pressuring out creep waves and looking for that extra little bit of proxy farm so you can rotate sooner.
It's just a strong understanding of the game and understanding that, you know, Wolves and Layers have just been playing together for a long time. A lot of times it's funny. You think of accomplished teams as being very communicative, and that is absolutely very true. But a lot of these plays on the right side of the map, I imagine Wolves and Layers don't have to say much, if anything. It's just we know the cycle. You're going to invade their blue buff. I'll be there on time because this is what we do. And having that to lean on is really important because then when you invite newer players like Oboronic and Inbound who are like, you know, Bobby coming back to the team, you know? Everybody can just sort of fit into a system that's already in place rather than start work from minute one.
It's definitely going to help out, that's for sure. And I think Layers also, having been with Wolves for so long, these two are bound to be making the difference.
Oh, here comes Chernobog out of the sky. Honey's in trouble, but still has a little bit of life. The Kraken on the back end, and Cyprexa on the front end, taking care of business. Working overtime. Armada in trouble. Here comes Wolves trying to detonate the shield, but more importantly, just zoning away from red.
Cyprexa able to play so aggressive because that living nightmare damage mitigation on the ultimate. Also the movement speed, but Ryan Jarman wishes he had some movement speed of his own. Gonna end up falling there to Layers off of the Thor Hammerstone. MitchTeep now could be next, and in fact, he will be as Wolves gets credit for the kill. 2 for nothing so far in favor of Astral Authority. Actually 3 if you count Zirxy's initial death.
Listen, Odin is not a hard character. Put me on record saying that. You've got a jump, and then you've got a button that makes your jump cooler, and you've got a little bit of a slow, right? It's not difficult to pilot Odin. What's different about Wolves and what makes Wolves different from you to Wolves or me to Wolves or literally anybody to Wolves is his decision making. It's very easy to look at that team fight, jump in, drop ring, and go hard. But those kills came without ring because they didn't need them. Saving the ring for after the fact is what allows his team to get the Pyromancer, to get the tier 1 tower, to get everything after the fact. It's that decision making and the patience. Wolves is able to make the impact there because he's smart.
And just the simple differences between knowing how to play a god and understanding when you've mastered them. And
Sure.
I think that Wolves has almost certainly mastered this Odin. He is undoubtedly the best Odin on box right now. And
Yeah.
if you're disagreeing with that, I mean, the numbers don't lie.
Yeah, I mean, that's very rarely are there absolutes in sports commentary or you know, competition commentary. Yeah, Wolves is just flat out the best Odin, full stop. You know, and I'm not ready to say this just yet, but his Odin can compete with some of the best SPL players, I would say. It's just so tough.
That's going to be cutting it close. Solo
It's cutting it close, but the fact that it's cutting it close is nasty.
I don't know how close is close, though.
Yeah?
I'll be honest. I think I'm giving Wolves a little bit here because Solo in both Europe and North America is probably the best it's ever been right now for SPL.
NA is so good right now. I mean, the best, people always talk about Kiki, right? Could Wolves take on Kiki on the Odin?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think even for a last place SPL team, there's still some pretty distinct differences to be had.
Well, the Odin nonetheless is certainly making waves here. Number 4 on the player damage, letting his mid lane do all the hard carry. Layers also showing up as well. Only 5,000 player damage, but able to make the difference.
That was a perfect Thor wall into the hammer tap, double hammer tap at that. And then the Berserker's Barrage. Mollusk left with nowhere to escape to, and still looking for more. Anvil of Dawn going to come crashing down on top of Zirxy and Fatal Ghost. That's going to set up 1 kill for Layers, and the other for his Hunter, Cyprexa.
Man, there's, it's 11-1. Sometimes it speaks for itself. Astral Authority surging ahead. They've got their support back.
Oh, no.
Wolves going to be looking to defend this tier 1 tower. The Poseidon's locked in, and Wolves gonna let the tower do the dirty work. Teep, get out of here. Wolves, the witness. Number 12 for Astral Authority.
No amount of actives in the world were going to save MitchTeep in that moment, even with the Gem of Isolation. There is no Phantom. Zirxy's still level 10. He doesn't have a flying chance in hell of buying Phantom anytime soon. Well, I take that back. He's 11 now, but a support going from 11 to 12, still a giant gap.
Yeah.
And they've been struggling for farm as is. They don't even have their T2 tower any longer, and it's only 18.5 minutes and climbing into this match. ArmadaGG had just been pressured from every direction.
Yeah, it's a 10,000 gold lead at this point. Very scary stuff for Armada to deal with. Wolves just making the difference in a lot of these transitions, but really it's been Layers for me. Layers has just been making everything work, and just very impressed with the Thor.
I think oBoronic also. Initially, I think oBoronic started things off pretty hot. He was just using those strifes and connecting every single time. Beautiful roots that set up Layers into the perfect position so he could land those double taps on the hammer with no problem. And I think that Armada kind of just played into it also. They would non-stop just get hit by that golden apple, and it's not over just yet either. Ooh. Ryan Jarman getting connected on. That means Cyprexa is going to come in also. Stingent Torment won't be able to save his life as Wolves get his 3rd kill of the match.
Inbound right there making the plays, making sure to drop down the rock before he gets Stygian Tormented. Can't be lifted up, just continues to slow the opponent with the passive and allows his team to catch on up. Inbound making the small plays for the big boys.
There's no way Armada let Chernobog through again.
No, not at all.
If they do, I think they're sealing their own fate, because Cyprexa's ability to instantly rotate across the map is absolutely insane. I don't care what SmiteVOD says. This god is nuts. Yeah,
Cyprexa has definitely been able to make an impact here. Again, the Thor just absolutely doing what Thor does. Layers can get pulled in. Aegis is on cooldown, but still walks away no problem. Honey's going to walk away with a ton of problems, but barely alive is the support.
Terra heals. Going to be enough to sustain the team for right now, combined alongside of that Fire Giant stim, and everybody's right back to full health. All that was really used, though, was Fatal Ghost, Sunbreaker, and it's probably their best ultimate for spacing, but it stops one push. It can't stop every single one of them.
And this is one of the downsides to Cyprexa or the Chernobog ult, is that right now it's a limited use, right? It'll be a slow, but that's it.
But he doesn't have it available even, and it doesn't even matter because Fatal Ghost going to end up falling anyway. Anvil of Dawn right on top of his noggin, but the Kraken from Teep takes out Layers. The punishment is strong also.
Meanwhile, Wolves looking to cut a couple players down short, gets one. Mollusk falls to the wayside. He'll sit this one out for 44 more seconds. Ryan Jarman going to be turned to Dickwood real quick. Cyprexa gets kill number 4. And a great job coming out from Astral Authority.
One more wave. It's going to be pushing in here for ArmadaGG and Astral Authority. They're not even going to waste their time with mid lane. They're looking straight for the kill on this first game.
Which could be tough. 80% on the Titan, now down to 60. ArmadaGG do have a chance to play defense. Very healthy as Astral, though. There's the ultimate. Honeys is in trouble. Cyprexa gets another one. Kill number 5. But Astral might have to back off here, Taco. I don't know if they have the damage, and Bobby certainly isn't going to be the one. Fatal Ghost takes care of Inbound. And now the rest looks like Boronic's gonna back off.
That was half of Fatal Ghost's health, but Fatal Ghost, he's not willing to give up this chase just yet. He knows exactly where Boronic is with that Mark of the Crow over his head. Invis not gonna be able to save him, but the ricochet off the wall won't connect.
Oof. Astral Authority. You know, so this is, I kind of say this, I say this a lot, is that, you know, I want them to go for it, and the response is, well, they're gonna lose, or they're not gonna make it. Nobody cares. Like, Astral tried for the win, and they didn't get it, and there is literally no impact. They could have gotten the mid lane tower, I feel you. But, like, I'd rather try for that than not at this point.
Well, there's no reason not to try for that in that circumstance. I think in most situations, though, it tends to be enough of a coin flip that teams don't want to risk having their lead thrown away.
Sure.
And in that case, I don't think that Astral can fully wipe there, and it wouldn't have made the difference because they took a Phoenix at 20 minutes.
Gold Fury's down, Fire Giant's down. I mean, the tier 1 towers are already down, so they don't have to worry about getting super sieged, right?
I also think they probably ended there, but they pulled aggro incorrectly, or I don't want to call it incorrectly as much as it was unlucky, because their carries ended up pulling the Titan aggro. They just got the attacks off and damaged members from Armada before their tanks could absorb it all. So that was more so a mistiming issue than anything else there. But for Astral Authority, the fact that they already took the Phoenix was enough for me. That alone is going to prevent ArmadaGG from being able to immediately run it down mid, even with the full team deicide.
Exactly. So I just go for it, man. What's the worst that could happen? We just watched the worst that could happen, and they're up more than they were before. 14,000 just about now for Astral. Just pretty much waiting to announce the victor here in game number 1, and then we'll see what happens in game number 2 a little bit later.
Plus, there's a half-health Titan on the line now, and this forces Armada to take up a fight outside of their base. They can't just sit on the mid Phoenix like they were probably hoping to, or the left-hand Phoenix. Never really know which side Astral's going to choose to push first. I just know for a fact that if Armada try to take up a base fight, they're going to end up losing. Astral Authority will just dump all of their abilities onto that Titan. With its current health, 40%, 50%, doesn't stand a chance.
Fire Giant's just going to increase that even more so. Easy one. No contest here. The FG goes down. Players from Armada going to be backing to base, getting ready to play defense. And you said they can't really defend on just sitting on the middle tower. Where do you want to see Armada look for the defense?
They'd have to take this
fight. They gotta come here already.
Outside, yeah. They can't be as deep as they are right now, which is why Astral Authority taking every single little inch they can get. They're pushing into this base further still. Ryan Jarman going to get targeted out here, already down to 40% health. He's falling even lower.
There's the ring, and Ryan Jarman going to use the ultimate as protection for himself. But how much protection is there? oBoronic says 0. 18-5 so far. Astral Authority trying to get this right side Phoenix back down, and they'll do just that. Pushing into the throne room. Layers cuts one down. It's a 5-on-3. Looking for Honeys. There's Cyprexa. It's a 5-on-2. And Armada gonna play defense. Astral Authority, though, this time better equipped, looking to cut him down. Fatal Ghost is that exactly. And Teep gonna fall. The last member, he'll stay alive.
No, he won't, because Cyprexa gonna make sure that that full team deicide does end up happening. Just instead, it's Astral Authorities for the taking as Armada fall here in game number 1.
Clean. I mean,
very clean.
Just that's the way it's done. I liked the attempt to go and finish early. Couldn't really get it. Oh well, no harm, no foul. Just come in 2 minutes, 3 minutes later and get the victory. Very well done by Astral. I think they're saying welcome back, Bobby.
I think they are, and they're probably happy that they kept Oboronic at the same time, because I believe originally he would have almost ended up not being on a team, but that's just an absurdity because Oboronic is arguably the best mid laner right now.
I got to give that, yeah, absolutely. Oboronic just cleaning up and just really nice stuff coming out from Astral. Armada are a great team in their own right. Weren't able to stand up against Astral. I mean, that's a little surprising.
I think that Armada just got a little bit flustered there at the start. They didn't really seem like they knew how to properly respond, and that does kind of go back to some of those mid lane engagements. It wasn't even necessarily the dual lane where we saw a lot of the aggression coming in until after the fact. It was all about, I mean, Wolves had some great early game rotations. This was the Teep montage event, though. Game 1 was just a series of L's for MitchTeep, and he could not go anywhere on this map without dying.
You can always tell who's in charge of calling the replays. Joe definitely wanted to show that one. That's a little bit of a meme.
Just Wolves watching, playing with his food.
Exactly.
Before he eats it.
Gotta have some fun with that one. Great job to Wolves.
That is pretty Wolf-like.
Yeah, I'd say so. Just a little playful right there. Yeah. Great job, Taco. Sick interlude. Wolves. Production's yelling at me that Tacos was you know what? Fine, it was good.